Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video I'm going to be testing out my newly built Rank 8 XL FERROTHORN for the first time in the Open Ultra League. I've had this Pokemon for a couple years. I actually got it in a trade with my wife back in 2021, and now I finally feel like it's the right time to build it. The Open Ultra League, there are water types everywhere, and not only can FERROTHORN handle just about any water type, but it can also handle Cresselia as well. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's check out some battles featuring my newly built XL FERROTHORN in the Open Ultra League. We've got a tough Pokemon on the lead in the first match, leading Talonflame into Guzzlord. Guzzlord is a bit of a core breaker for this team, as it can do pretty well into both the Talonflame and the FERROTHORN due to the fact that I have to land a Flash Cannon from the FERROTHORN to deal any meaningful damage. The Fly does get the shield, I save switch into Greedent, and my opponent is going to stay in here to throw energy. They go for the Brutal Swing, and they're still not switching out. Honestly, this is great for me. I am very happy to stay in here and absorb energy on the Greedent, as Greedent just takes charge attacks for days. That's one of the reasons why I did put it on the team, is not only is it a potential bait out of any fighting types that the opponent may have in the back, but it's very good at absorbing energy. Opponent sends in a Tentacruel, and this Tentacruel is not going to enjoy what I have in store for it in the back, as I fire off the Body Slam to burn the clock, and in comes FERROTHORN. FERROTHORN is a wall to Tentacruel's energy unless they're running Blizzard, which would hit for neutral, and they are actually not running Blizzard. That's a bit of a surprise. In the Open Ultra League, I feel like Blizzard Scald is the most common set, but I can still absorb a Blizzard no problem. But since they don't have Blizzard, I can now land a Power Whip, fully Bullet Seed them down, and exit with some energy. They're going for Scald after Scald, in comes the Guzzlord. I have to start shielding something, so I am going to commit the shield. I'm debuffed, but unfortunately, my switch timer is not yet up. So I am going to fire off the debuff Flash Cannon. Opponent is going to commit the shield. I can send in the Greedent, and Greedent is going to begin more Body Slam spam. The Body Slam gets them low. They try and go for the farm down, but the Greedent barely able to hang on, making one final Body Slam and knocking Guzzlord off the field. Opponent now in a bit of a difficult spot, as they really wanted that farm down in the back. Oh no, it's Swampert. They have double water, and FERROTHORN can very comfortably win this game. Hydro, I do not have to respect this. That's not going to do a lot. I go for the Power Whip. Great catch by my opponent. Bad news for them, however, this catch does not win them the game, because guess who is not mud-shotting me down? FERROTHORN, just too bulky, making it to the Power Whip. Haven't seen a Swampert in a while, and that Swampert is not too happy to see this FERROTHORN, as we're able to take the game. Picking up a bit of a tricky lead in the next match, Talonflame versus Shadow Gliscor. Now, Shadow Gliscor, it's 5 to the first Night Slash and 4 to the second. So if they throw the Night Slash here, then they're able to outpace me to my second move, which is just very awkward from a pacing perspective, as now I'm going to be in the red health without landing any damage. I'm going to let that go. I wait the turn just to make sure they don't catch, and I'm going for the Fly. The Fly is going to connect, and I do get the Incinerate farm down barely. In comes Jellicent. I pivot into Greedent, and oh no, not only are they completely core broken by Greedent in the back, but they are completely core broken by FERROTHORN as well. And this game is just instantly over. My opponent has no way of knowing that I have the FERROTHORN in the back yet, so they're not going to be exiting the match quite yet, but the writing is absolutely on the wall for this one, as I can spam out crunches in this matchup, and I really don't have to protect Greedent. Greedent, I don't need it to win this game. 2 shielded FERROTHORN, my opponent has 0 win cons. Because not only is FERROTHORN going to be hitting for some pretty solid neutral damage into the Cresselia, but it resists all of Cresselia's standard moves. Grass Knot, double resisted, Future Sight and Moonblast, single resisted. So there's not really anything that the Cresselia can do. I actually get a defense drop there. Definitely did not need it. I'm going to let this through. And now we can just win the game with the FERROTHORN. In comes the FERROTHORN. Opponent is going to send in the Jellicent. They realize they do not have a win con, and they resign the match. We got a tough lead in the next match, Talonflame versus Shadow Feraligatr. In comes the Greedent save switch. They do not switch out, so I'm able to outpace, make the Body Slam, and just like that, they're already in fly range. So, overall, things turned out pretty okay despite that terrible lead, so far at least. Hydro Cannon is going to connect. They send in Clefable. That's a bit unfortunate, as my other 2 Pokemon completely destroy Clefable. This is the only one where Clefable has play, and it's managed to dodge my 2 counters for it. I'm going to start spamming out body slam after body slam, continuing to apply pressure onto this Clefable. I make it to one more body slam, but I lose charge attack priority. Very nice counting by my opponent. But I should be in a pretty good spot here. I can just commit to a 0 shield farm down with the Talonflame, exit with 100 energy. They can't really bring in the Feraligatr, and that's going to set up the alignment that I need in the endgame with the Ferrothorn. So I tank the Moonblast. I can live another one, so I can no shield this one as well. But then I make a misplay, and I hit the shield button. They pivot into Jellicent, and that was just such a terrible shield. Oh my goodness, absolutely awful plays by me. But if I get the shield back with the fly, I'm right back in this game. The opponent no shields that as well. In comes the Ferrothorn, and this, oh man, this is a completely unlosable game that I have found a way to lose just with exceedingly poor play on my part. The Power Whip does get no shielded. They're leaving it all up to the Shadow Feraligatr. Feraligatr firing off energy here. Let's see. Are they running Crunch or Ice Beam? They're running Crunch. Crunch is going to connect, and I'm going to start firing off these Power Whips. If I no-shielded that move on the Talonflame, this is the easiest win ever, as 2-shield Ferrothorn can just clean up the backline, but instead, I shield it. I shield a move that I would survive, and now the Feraligatr is going to get the perfect over farm needed. As Crunch KOs, in comes the Talonflame, and I cannot get the Incinerate down. I feel like this battle is a good example of how a very winnable game can turn into a lost game, just with very poor use of shields. We see a familiar lead in the next match, Talonflame into Gliscor, but this Gliscor is not Shadow. Again, they're going to be able to outpace me here, and again, I'm just not going to shield. I am not worried about that whatsoever. They go for the Night Slash. Thankfully, they do not get the boost, and right here is Night Slash number 2. Very comfortable here with the no shield since it is the non-shadow. I can just undertap, go for the fly, and I will look to switch out of here because I need to preserve the Talonflame in case they have any potential fighters. And right on cue, hello Virizion. Virizion would absolutely destroy Ferrothorn. So I'm going to need to get some chip damage here with the Greedent. They're going to need to throw energy, which is the nice thing, is they are unable to double kick down after landing one. Greedent is just much too spammy. So they will be forced to throw energy, and then when they do, that can set up my Talonflame quite nicely. They're over-farming a lot though, which is a bit unfortunate. I will go for the body slam, and now my opponent, oh, very nice counting as they throw just before I make my next slam. Sacred Sword will pick up the KO. In comes the Talonflame. Talonflame, I mean, I do live a Sacred Sword, not by much. I do no shield. They send in the Gliscor, and I'm just able to make it to the fly. The wing attack does not KO. The fly picks up the knockout. They send in Virizion, and I'm in an awkward spot. I thought that the double kick would KO before the Incinerate would register, so I switched. And now, as you're going to see, I need to double shield the Ferrothorn. And this is really bad. Oh my goodness, this is so bad. I get the farm down. What do they have in back? Wait. This is like the one thing in the game that maybe I have a chance to beat, as it is going to be the XL Tentacruel. If the Tentacruel has Blizzard, I'm going to need a catch. The good news is my clock will be up momentarily, and there it is. My clock is going to be up. I just continue this over farm, spamming out Power Whip after Power Whip. They're going to no shield. I wait the turn, and I catch it. Is it the Scald? Is it the Blizzard? It's the Blizzard! What a big catch! And now, maybe there's a chance. Ferrothorn desperately needing to make it to 2 more Power Whips before they get their Blizzard. It's going to be close. Ferrothorn, they throw energy. Do they have it? Is it the Blizzard? It is not. It's the Scald, and we survive there. Oh my goodness. That game, realistically, not a game that I should have won because I didn't play very well, but we're able to take it in the end game. We've got a good lead in the next match, Talonflame versus Poliwrath. Talonflame is just strictly able to outpace Poliwrath in this matchup. The unfortunate thing is Scald is very threatening, so it's the Talonflame, you do feel like you want to shield, but Poliwrath is almost always going to be baiting with Icy Wind, just because they need the guaranteed debuff to hopefully better survive flies later on. So I commit the shield, I get baited, that's just never a good feeling, and now I'm going to go for the fly at -1 attack. They're going to no shield. I switch out into the Greedent, as I do want to preserve the Talonflame for later, and I'm more than happy to take damage here. My opponent will go for the Icy Wind. They want the guaranteed debuff, and they send in their own Greedent. Oh boy, This is not where you want to be. In a Greedent mirror, debuffed, so your opponent is just always doing more damage than you. My goal here is I do want to try and exit this matchup with energy. The switch clocks are misaligned. I can potentially take advantage of that, and I just need to burn the switch clock so I can get out of here and probably send in the Ferrothorn. Clock still not yet up. I have a lot of energy here though. After this move connects, my clock will be up. I can bank so much energy. I'm just shy of 2 crunches and I can send in the Ferrothorn. They're going to start firing off these crunches and fishing for potential debuffs here. And they do get the defense drop, and in the back is Giratina. Giratina is another Pokemon that this team is a bit soft to, as the Talonflame and the Ferrothorn, not the most comfortable matchups here ever. And unfortunately, my defense did get dropped there. They're going to go for the Shadow Sneak, and I just need to make it to the Flash Cannon. The Flash Cannon is not going to be enough to knock out, but again, I can take advantage of the timers. Switch clock is almost up. We send in the Greedent, and I fire off the Crunch. They have to shield or they lose the energy. They let it go. In comes the Poliwrath, and the stored energy from earlier paying dividends as they're forced to give up a shield or lose the Poliwrath. They're going to get the full farm down with the Poliwrath. I still have the Talonflame available. In comes the Talonflame, and they're probably Icy Wind baiting me again. I am going to commit the shield. It is actually the Scald that proves to be a very important shield, and now in comes Greedent. Greedent will be met with the Fly. The Fly is going to get them low. They're firing off energy. One Body Slam is not going to be enough to knock out here. My clock is up once again. I can send in the Ferrothorn, and they're forced to fire off energy. It is going to be the Crunch that KOs the Ferrothorn. The match timer is counting down as I farm down with the Talonflame. We had to keep desyncing switch timers and switching throughout the entire game, saving energy, resetting debuffs, but we're able to outmaneuver our opponent and win the match. We've got a very tough lead in the next match. Talonflame into Tapu Koko. I save switch into the Greedent. They're actually going to stay in here with the Tapu Koko, so I will fire off the Body Slam. Body Slam will do some very nice damage. Tapu Koko is very, very frail, but it can output a lot of damage as the Nature's Madness connects, and in comes Golisopod. Golisopod, ooh, this is actually a bit uncomfortable. Normally, Greedent would love to see this Pokemon, but I've taken a lot of damage, and my defense has been debuffed by the Nature's Madness, so they can use this as an opportunity to get a pretty massive energy head start. I think I'm going to need to rely on Ferrothorn to sweep this endgame, so I think I kind of just need to sacrifice the Talonflame to a Liquidation. I'm going to be sending in the Talonflame. My Incinerates do hit for neutral here, but oh boy, this Liquidation, while it doesn't one-shot, it's going to do a ton. I'm just going to let it go. They bait with an X-Scissor. I switch into the Ferrothorn, and let's see, did they react in time? Or did they go for the Liquidation? They went for the Liquidation in the back. It's a Giratina Origin, and this is not what I was expecting to see. Giratina Origin actually has a lot of damage output. Shadow Ball is going to be extremely threatening. I'm going to farm up and go for a Power Whip bait. I need 2 moves to KO anyway, so even if they no-shield it, which they do, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it still is a bit unfortunate. I'm going to now go for the Flash Cannon, hoping they decide to call it again, and they do. The Giratina is now extremely low. Maybe there's a chance to win this game. Ferrothorn just going to let this go as the Shadow Ball will pick up the knockout. I'm going for the Flame Charge. I need to boost up my Incinerate damage and try and farm down Tapu Koko. If I can do that, there's a chance to win this game. I commit the shield. They go for the Ominous Wind. They switch in the Tapu Koko, and I boost up my Incinerates again with a Flame Charge. I need this next Incinerate to KO, and it just does not. The 1 HP Tapu Koko. Oh, heartbreak here as we lose an incredibly close game. Picking up a positive lead in the next match, Talonflame into an opposing Greedent. Very happy to play this match out to start with, although I will have to switch into my own Greedent again to check and make sure if they have any potential fighters in the back that would be a problem for the Ferrothorn. So I'm going to go for the Flame Charge at first. That's going to do some very nice damage, and now I'm only 1 off of a Fly. They're going to be firing off the Body Slam. That's going to connect. I'm going to save that energy for later and send in my own Greedent. They stay in, they go for a Body Slam. This is honestly terrific for me. I am very happy to let them throw Body Slams at my Greedent, because I do not really care about my Greedent's HP on this team. Most of the time, the shields are for the Talonflame or for the Ferrothorn in the back. So now I'm going to fire off another Body Slam. This Body Slam is going to connect, I can overfarm ever so slightly, and this body slam will be able to pick up the knockout. They stayed in, so they clearly don't have a great response, and they choose to send in a Sylveon, and that Sylveon's about to have an absolutely awful day when they see it has nowhere to run against this entire team. Greedent is typically able to beat Charmers. I've already taken a lot of damage, so they might be able to farm me down, but their energy isn't really going to go anywhere versus my team. I try and go for a crunch at the end since I'm only making it to one move, and they actually CMP time me. That is so nice. I can send in the Ferrothorn, farming up energy. They resign the match. My guess is they had a water type in the back that did not want to see Ferro. Hopping into the final match, great lead, Talonflame and a Shadow Steelix, the Safe Switch, and a Dragon Breath Giratina, and I'm going to respond with my Greedent. Greedent will be able to absorb energy from the Giratina, and now I'm going to start fishing for potential Crunch debuffs. Crunch into the Giratina is going to connect, and I do get a bit of luck as I do get the Crunch debuff. That is incredibly nice, as now my opponent really in an awkward spot where they can't ever really flip this thanks to that debuff. So I can fire off another Crunch. It's going to get them deep into the red. This is in a range where I still don't want to risk a body slam, so I will go for the Crunch just to guarantee the knockout. So I can get rid of this Giratina. Back in comes the Steelix. Steelix farming up a lot of energy, and I'm going to go for the Crunch. Opponent, they're never going to shield this. They know that they're going to have to deal with harder hitting moves from the Talonflame later on. I'm only able to make it to a body slam here, but again, all damage is good damage. So the Steelix now very close to half HP. They have so much energy here, though. This could get a bit uncomfortable. Psychic Fangs is going to connect. These Incinerates adding up, and I'm going to no shield again. Opponent, they're running Crunch. That actually gets me low. In the back, they have Confusion Cresselia. In comes the Ferrothorn, and that's just a complete wall to Cresselia, and they resign the match. All in all, I had a lot of fun getting to try out the Ferrothorn. Across the 3 sets that I played with it, I had pretty consistent 3-2s. I went 3-2 every single set. I definitely felt like there were a couple games that I maybe could have won if I played a little bit better, but overall, I think it's a nice start. Ferrothorn XL is definitely not like a top meta Pokemon in the Open Ultra League, but I do think it has some interesting anti-meta play, specifically as something that can effectively combat the combination of water types, Cresselia, and Charm. I do feel has a little bit of merit, especially in this current meta where it feels like a lot of teams are ABA water. I've even seen triple water, so there's often a water on a lot of teams. So I do think that the Ferrothorn is a very nice anti-meta pick. As I mentioned, there are stronger Pokemon available, but if you're looking to have a little bit of fun with it, I feel like Ferrothorn can put in some potential work. Now for this team in particular, it does have a couple weaknesses to watch out for. Giratina is very uncomfortable across the board, as well as something like a Shadow Dragonite would prove to be very, very problematic. So if Dragonite comes back, I probably won't run this team anymore, just because Dragonite would be a bit of a nuisance to deal with, but I hadn't really been seeing them in Open Ultra, which is a bit of a surprise. I feel like past a certain elo, it's kind of just Shadow Dragonite City in the Open Ultra League, but I hadn't seen it in a while, and across these 3 sets, I didn't end up seeing any, so it ended up working out. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.